Good morning. Can you all hear me at the back there? Excellent. Okay. Good morning again. My dear friends, I'm Dr. Juliet. I'm a medical officer and a medical psychologist. I don't know if that makes sense, but what I really do is see patients in this clinic that I run with my husband as a GP doctor. And I also counsel patients. So that makes me a patient. Now,
Sound check. One.
thank you. So I'm attached to Hospice Case in Section 3. So what I do is every day walk into people's homes, people who are dying. And we've heard about grief this morning. So what I do with my team is go in and take care of these people who are dying and their family members. So where I come from, communicating with my patients and the family members is a big, big deal. Now, before I go on, and it's so apt that Dr. Anna has already spoken about grief this morning, because let me remind you this. Dying is a natural process. And in my line of job, we make that process one with quality and dignity. So you're going to understand as I share today with you all about communication and why it's important, why it's so important that we say things the right way, with the right tone, with the right approach. And so I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm so overwhelmed to see so many of you here. Thank you. So we've been sitting in this hall the whole morning. Unwind a bit now, all right? So I humbly request, that we put all phones in silent mode as we communicate with each other. All phones in silent mode. And now, as I play this music, if you want to just spread out a bit, it's fine. I want you to communicate with me, all right? Communicate with me and listen to what I'm going to say. Can we have the music? Just unwind. We've been here the whole morning. Just unwind.
We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore.
A bit louder.
We don't talk anymore like we used to.
Okay. Can you all hear that?
What was
Okay, I love to dance, so here goes.
talk anymore.
Put your right hand up. Circular motions.
When you've been looking, you've been
Excellent.
looking for.
Move any part of your body you want to in the process.
'Cause even after all
Excellent.
this time, I still wonder.
Now your left hand up.
Move on, just the way you did so easily.
Touch the person sitting next to you.
Kinda dress you wearing tonight. If he's holding
Reach
on to
out.
you so tight, way
Touch.
I did before.
That's what communication is all about. Touch. Now reach out your right hand. Reach out and touch. Put your hands, right hand out.
I'm just too afraid that I'll be wrong.
Make a fist
Don't wanna know if you're looking
and
into
move.
her eyes. If she's holding on to you so tight, the way I did before.
And just tap the person next to
Should've
you.
known your love was a game. Now I can't get you out of my
Excellent.
brain.
We are
Oh,
communicating
it's such a
today.
shame.
But we don't talk anymore.
Now put your left hand out.
We don't talk
Put your left hand out.
used to do.
Make a fist
What was all of it for? Oh, we don't
and
talk
put it in your mouth.
used to do.
Exactly. Can we stop the music? I said put it in your mouth. How many people put it in your mouth? How many of us put it in the mouth? I didn't see any from here. So was it a monkey see, monkey do? Were y'all listening? Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest communication problem there is we do not listen. And when we do, we listen not to understand, but to respond. We immediately want to respond. We immediately want to reply. I hope you all enjoyed that warm-up session. I did. So what is communication about? Transfer of information from one person who has grown with a certain cultural norm, certain beliefs, certain conditioning, certain thinking process and emotions, saying something to a totally different person. And no two people think alike. That's a myth. We are all individuals with our own thoughts. And how we process that thoughts depends on where we were born, how we were brought up, who scolded us when we were kids, who comforted us when we were growing up. So it's different. But what we want is the transfer of information. And why is that important? Therapeutic communication is what we are aiming at. In contrast to chatting, cakap kosong. So if we meet someone as we were coming and we're saying, "Ayo, I came early because as I see, very difficult to find parking. Or so I came at 9 o'clock. It's lama. So you came MRT? Oh, okay. That's chatting. Now we are going to talk about therapeutic communication today because we want communication to be beneficial, purposeful, goal-oriented, and definitely not long-winded. That's therapeutic communication. So it has a beneficial effect for both the person and listener. And person, yes. I'm going to learn something from this whole session here today, not just you. So it's beneficial for everyone. And why is it important? We want to obtain or provide information. We want to develop trust. We communicate well so that person trusts us enough to talk to us, to show care and explore feelings. And in obtaining and providing information, it's important because imagine, I run a GP clinic with my husband, right? So if my patients come in and I say, "So, Mr. A, you've got laryngitis with acute pharyngitis and your tympanic membranes are, inflamed. And so I'm going to start you on some antibiotics and a course of antihistaminic." You're going to think, what hit me? Gosh, am I going to die? So when you're giving information, you're saying, actually you got sore throat lah. The sides there also inflamed. Your ears also blocked because of that. So there's a bit of infection going on, I start you on antibiotics. Then I see you in 3 days if you don't get better. Which is beneficial? Yes, exactly. So that's what we're talking about. Therapeutic communication. We don't want to show off lah. We just want to relay the message. We want to develop trust. We want to make sure whoever talks to us trusts us enough. And we're going to learn how to do that today. We're going to exercise care. And in exercising care, we're going to talk about non-verbal communication today. And we did that a little bit earlier as we were dancing. The eye contact, the touch. And finally, to explore feelings. Now, this morning's talk touched a little bit on, I call them the GI squares versus the GI Joes. GI Joes, they rescue soldiers. GI squares are good intentioned idiots. Yeah? So we're going to explore how, when we talk to someone, we're going to make them talk more to us. And therein comes what not to say. Do you know when you speak to someone, and I'm sure most of you are sitting down wondering, Dr. Juliet dances well, yeah? So 65% of what you put out is non-verbal communication. 65%. Only 35% is what you say. So how you carry yourself when you talk to someone is more important than what you actually say. So if you're going to go somewhere and say, hello, make sure you take care of yourself, huh? Everybody loses someone, everybody dies. You're being? I wouldn't want to listen to you. So how you stand, how you see the person, how you embrace that person is 65% of care exuded. So we want to rethink from now on, when we talk to someone, how we appear. Are we condescending? We might get the correct messages across, but are we condescending? Are we judgmental? Yeah lah, you never go to church, that's why you feel like this. I tell you, go to church every Sunday, you won't be like this. Have you been saying your rosaries? So do we want to be judgmental? When I was growing up, and this story I might have repeated so many times that most of you might know, we used to go to church, or my father, he was in the government sector, and we used to go for some official functions with him, and we would see those who sat in the front row would be like, they had expensive watches, they were escorted in, sometimes there was music when they walked in, but they sat there like. And then my sister, being as innocent as she is, and braver than me those days, asked why they look like that, so scary. So my dad said, see, this is what happens. You all don't smile enough, this is what happens. You grow up, you'll be like that. I tell you, I believed it, I was so scared. I was going to look like one of them. I call it the constipated look. So ladies and gentlemen, the most important fact is how you appear. And that encompasses 65% of communication. So we're going to look into a bit of psychosocial aspects, the gestures. And when you talk to someone, You don't talk like this. You're always at the same level. Even a kid, you go down to that level of the height of the kid. So you have eye contact. And style, we all have our personal style. But if it's someone is talking to you and you cross your arms, you're telling them, I'm not really interested, I'm bored, but I'm here. And the meaning of time and space, when someone looks down and you approach them and you say, hey, you don't look so well, is everything okay? And then they give you the... Teenagers are quite popular with that. What are you going to do? Tell me, why? Why you look like this? No, you let it be. That's giving them time and space. Let them be. And after a while, if it's a colleague, maybe later in the afternoon, if it's your family member, maybe later at night, you want to approach them. I've noticed that you're not looking so good. Something's in your mind. It's okay if you don't want to tell me about it. I hope you can work it out. But if you need me, I'm here. You respect that time and that space that they need. And finally, well, the cultural values, I think we are all paka at that, isn't it? Malaysian customs and culture. But political correctness. A few years ago, I went to this, well, I didn't realize I was growing old myself. So I went up to this lady and I just said, Auntie, boleh saya kasih ini ubat And she turned around and told me, jangan panggil saya auntie lah, saya sangat tua kak. You pun sama tua ma. Ouch, oops. So in maintaining political correctness, we address people. We don't take it for granted that everyone is auntie and uncle and anne. Some of them don't want to be my anne, you know. They want to be something more. So we address. And I tell my nurses when we go into the houses to ask them, how would you like me to address you? If they say, call me auntie lah, okay lah. So that is another important factor we take for granted. Everybody is an uncle, everybody is an auntie, anne, tanggachi. There are 3 core values to good communication that I believe in. There are many theories, but I believe in this famous psychologist called Carl Rogers, and I follow this, and it includes being genuine, having positive regard to whoever you are having a communication with, and showing empathy. And what does being genuine mean? It's being real, being honest. And that's one thing we forget in our culture. We always want to sugarcoat, you know. We want to sugarcoat because we feel better. So you go to a funeral, and if for some reason the grieving person reaches out and says, I don't know what's going to happen after this. My husband is dead. My children are so small. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to do it. What's your instinct to reply? Generally, don't worry. You'll be okay. Everything will be okay. Your children will be okay. But seriously, ladies and gentlemen, do we know that? Do we know that for sure, that she'll be okay? That her children will be okay? So in being genuine, we are comforting the patient, the person. We are not trying to go in and be a hero. I've done my job. You'll be okay. You'll be all right. Make sure you eat, huh? No. We're going to tell her we don't know. We don't know. But I'm willing to be here with you as you go through this process. You can tell me if you need something now. That's being honest. That's being real. An unconditional positive regard. Now, this can be a sensitive issue, but I hope you will forgive me if this makes a ouch on any of you. But in many associations and organizations, if you're one of the persons in the association, if you're a member, you're a fellow Christian, then I'll help you. But if you're not, sorry, there are conditions. Because the way I help you is by going to church. The way I help you is by telling you you must say the rosary every day. So you are not a Christian, I'm sorry. I'll find the correct person for you, but sorry. I cannot help you. I give you tissue lah. When we are involved in empowering someone else, we are actually taking a big step in helping them come out of that rut they are in. And at that point, you forget your beliefs. You step into their world. You help to empower them. And that we bring to what we call empathy. Not sympathy. Empathy. And empathy really means this. You just step into their world for a while. And you look at the outside world from where they are. That's empathy. Sympathy is, I feel so sorry for you. You're having a flu, I feel so sorry for you. It's like, ayo, poor thing. But I cannot do anything anyway. You want tissue? That's sympathy. But empathy is actually just stepping in there for a while. Just stepping in there for a while. And just for that moment, wondering how will it be for me if I was in that person's situation? Just for a while. And imagine what you want someone to tell you at that point. Next. So this is what not to say. I know exactly how you feel. Really? Seriously. Don't worry. We all went through it. No use talking about this again and again and again. I think this morning we talked about the 7-day prayers and the funeral rites, which is more for the family. We also talked about people who become strong when something happens so that others don't cry. People who depend on them don't cry. But how long are we going to keep that strength for others? When do we break down? Especially when anyone who walks in and out will tell you that, don't cry, your children are still young. Your husband passed away, I know. Everybody got husband who passed away. You will get over it. But don't cry. Your children are watching, then they cry how? Don't cry. Come on. Be positive. Be positive. Life goes on. And studies, not just Juliet standing here and telling you this, studies have shown that that is the most wrong word to use on someone who's grieving. Be positive. How judgmental is that? You're so lousy that you are embracing this moment and actually crying. Come on. Be positive. You think you're the only one who lost a loved one? And I'll tell you a personal story. I lost my son when I was a young mother. And that's exactly what they told me. I lost my baby when I was a young mother. And they told me that God needed angels in heaven. God needed angels. You're actually, indirectly, they're telling me you're gifted, Your child was chosen to be an angel. How ouch is that? What do you mean you have no appetite? Malaysians, we must eat. Die also must eat. And that happens. And again, I apologize if any one of you think I'm making a mockery out of this, but I used to do the same. 7-day prayers. We are calling up each other. I'm going to make idli, so you make the sambar. So the other auntie, I told her to make the achar. Hey, no need chicken, all like 7-day prayers. This is what we talk about. But is any of us wondering, does the family need my support? Do I need to go a bit earlier to help them clean the house? Why are you getting so uptight? Can you relax? Studies have shown that the moment you say that to someone who's really uptight and stressed, why are you so uptight? Their stress doubles. And when someone is angry and you tell them, relax, if given a chance, they'll punch you. So this is what I mean, ladies and gentlemen, what not to say. The worst for me is this. Tomorrow, people are coming from Singapore. Some people are flying from London just for the funeral, for your father's funeral. Buck up. They will all be watching you. Have you got your black dress? Don't try to solve people's problems. I'm involved in talk therapy, and talk therapy really means you just let them talk and you listen. You don't give answers. They will figure it out. They just need an outlet. They are grieving. I don't know what's going to happen to me. And as they say that, they are reflecting, they are thinking. And if they are more specific, now after the funeral, I don't know whether to go to the house first or go straight to the church. When they are saying that, they are processing that thought, they are thinking. You just listen. No, you better go to the hall first. People will all go there to eat first. Nah. They are processing it. They are reflecting as they talk. All you have to do is listen. Don't go beyond your role or expertise. I had someone who was feeling very hopeless. She was having so much of grief within her. When they called me to counsel her, the person who called me said, she told us, and it's real, she said, the lady told me she's feeling hopeless. She wants to commit suicide. So I told her, don't be stupid. You're a Catholic, that's a sin. So if I was that person and I felt like committing suicide, I'll do it there and then now. How judgmental is that? You're just being, I tell you, I might have done this before. We are innocently trying to tell them, put them in place. Hey, instead of asking them, you feel like committing suicide? You want to talk about this? Can I refer you to someone? The best you can do is this. I can't begin to understand what you're going through, but I would like to help you in any way that I can. Because the truth is, that's all we can do. And do not provide premature reassurance. You will be fine. Now you feel like that because your boyfriend just left you. Now you feel like you don't want to see any other men. But I promise you 2 weeks' time you'll be dating again. What can we do, folks? Very simple. There's been a long list of what not to do, what cannot say. But what you can do is so simple. You listen, be present, be silent. And active listening involves this. Listening with both your ears, listening with both your eyes open, focused on that person, not looking at the clock, looking behind that person. Listening with your mind open, unconditioned acceptance. Listening with your heart open. Listening with a good time space. So if you don't have that time, don't even step in and ask. And finally, listening with most of the time, your mouth shut. That's active listening. And you're going to be present and you're going to be silent. Again and again, I would like to apologize if what I say today mocks any of you. It is not my intention. But I used to be this person before, telling people not to cry. Don't cry, people are watching you. Don't cry. So I am here just to relay what I've learned and shared in my lifetime with you all. And I cannot leave this place without touching a bit on caregivers. Caregivers are us who are willing to listen. Now, if you are going to listen to 3 or 4 sad stories like I do usually in a day, it will attack you. It will affect you. And in the beginning of my career, I remember this 12-year-old boy who had terminal cancer, and I went in to speak to him, to empower him, his family members, always thinking at that time that my son was also 12, went into that mode of I must do the best for this guy. And when he died, I went berserk a bit. Now, caregiver. And this is what I mean by taking care of yourself. That stepping in that we do, we must learn to be professional and step out. So if you're going to step in for your friend who is having some issues, if you're going to step in for someone who's going through an ordeal, if you're going to step in to a colleague who has some issues, you either step in completely and step out or don't. Get help. You will do more damage if you go in Don't worry, you'll be okay. I say this prayer for you. Now you hold my hand. I say this prayer. Tomorrow you'll be okay. And then you walk out of their life. That's it. And 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people will be doing that. Because the whole congregation will know someone lost someone. And everyone will go in and do that and come out. It's like a touch and go. We don't need touch and go, except on the highways. So if you're a caregiver, if you're someone who's taken it upon yourself to look into someone's issues, remember, you need an outlet. You need an outlet with someone else. So what can we do? The most important communication ever. The most important communication ever is the communication that you have with yourself. With yourself. And I tell this again and again to many people. Don't wait for people to come and validate you. Wow, good talk today. Excellent. No. Don't wait for someone to come and tell you you did well. You came out of that grieving process very well. Because that's what most of us do. We want to put up a show for others so that everyone will know I did well. So I'm going to cover up what's inside here. Tell yourself positively that this is as much as I can do for the folks here today. And if some of you are nodding off, it's not in my control. The aircon is excellent in the room. I'm not going to beat myself and say it's because I'm too boring. I'm going to step into someone's world to help them. And then I will step out and come back to my family. Because I am important. I'm going to keep some time away for that person who needs me. And I'm going to make a conscious effort to keep some time because that person is important for me. But hey, I'm important to myself. So after that, when I come back, I'm not going to answer her calls. I'm going to tell her. I'm going to make an appointment. I'll see you again on this date at this time. But I'm going to come back to my life, to my family. And that is so vital that you step out. Seek help. If you can't handle it, call me. There'll be charges, of course. But seek help. See what they need. They need the doctors. They need the social worker. They need some legal advice. Seek help. If it's not within your expertise, you don't have a say. And always remember, always remember what that person is going through is not about you. It's about their grieving, their ordeal. It is about them. So if they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to share with you, and despite all the care that you've given, despite active thinking and being present and being silent, they decide to pop the pills and go. Or they decide to run away. Or they decide to look the other way, go to the darker side. It is not about you. It is about them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all now to just put away the pens and the papers and just unclutter yourself. We started out in a very active dancing mode. we're going to wind down with mindfulness. And mindfulness basically means being here and now. And I want you all to now think about a certain someone that you think might need some help. Any form. It could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a friend, it could be a colleague. So I want you to close your eyes. Just do this for yourselves. I promise you I won't do anything when your eyes are closed. Just close your eyes. And think of that person. And think of what you might want to do for that person now.
It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart.
Close your eyes.
Without saying a word, you can light up the dark. Try as I may, I can never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. All day long I can hear people talking out loud. But when you hold me near, you drown out the crowd. Try as they may, they can never define what's been said between your heart and mine. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. On your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, you say it best when you say nothing at all. Thank you so much. So we're open for any questions at this moment. And like what Rina said earlier this morning, there's no such thing as a stupid question. So feel free.
So check 1.
Testing, testing. You said amongst the things that you do not say, first of all, do not say, I know how you feel.
I know exactly how you
I know
feel.
exactly how you feel. And, well, that's exactly is the word.
Yes.
And do not say that you think you're the only person that this has happened to. And your predecessor, the last speaker, said, the same two things not to say. But I think if you're sad because your mother died, and perfectly acceptable for me to say, my mother died a couple of years ago, so I understand that you're going through difficulties now.
Yeah.
I think it just sort of builds up rapport and lets that person think that you do know how to.
Yes,
because
I know
you've
where
been through
you're
something
coming
similar.
from. Yeah.
So I think it's a great overstatement to say,
Yeah.
don't say, that you know what they're going through. You never know exactly, but you have a very good idea of what they're going
I'm
through.
so glad you brought that up because the key word, like I said, is exactly. I'm glad that you want to share what you went through and make them feel better. It's fair. Your mom passed away and her mom passes away, and you tell her your story and how you came out of it, and that's very helpful. But like you said, the key word is exactly. I know
Exactly. It's the key word,
exactly
exactly.
how you feel, and you're generalizing it. And what you're doing is excellent. You want to share how you came out of it in a narration form, in a conversation, so they pick up ideas, and yes. But to tell them, I know exactly how you feel, you're belittling an individual, saying you are just like me, and that you don't know if that person likes you very much. I know exactly why you feel. It's like saying, so you can now shut up and not cry. Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. Have we fallen asleep? Yes.
Oh, test my okay. When we talk to a person, they don't necessarily listen to us with their ears because people perceive communication differently.
So, check.
Some people are more visual. Some people use their ears. Some people are open to touch. So my question is, sometimes how do you know which is the best way to get to them?
So you're talking to them because you're healing them, or you're talking to them because you have issues?
Usually, I'm a teacher, so usually these are my students. They come to see me, and they have issues they want me to address. So I realized one incident where I was talking to him, and I realized he went blank.
So with
So
all
I had to
due
draw.
respect,
I had to draw. I realized that he's actually visual.
visual,
He's visual. He perceives things visually better than audio.
65% verbal.
Yeah.
So can I ask you, with all due respect, and if he has come to you with an issue, why are you talking?
He wanted to know whether, I would accept his assignment. That was the issue, actually.
Okay.
He was very, very frightened. So I had to assure him that it's okay, just put it on my table. I'm not around the next day. And he went like, okay. So I have to draw out the whole staff room, and my table is here. Now just put your assignment right here. I'll get to it. Don't worry about it. It's just like when I was describing how and what he was supposed to, he just didn't hear a thing. I had to start drawing.
Yeah, the attention span in a human brain does not go beyond 7 seconds, apparently. So that's why in talk therapy we say, we don't talk, they talk. Now, yours is a different situation. If he can't even understand, put the assignment here, we're talking about other things, attention deficit or whatever. But in healing, if you are stepping in as a healer, we don't talk. We listen. But we put out little words that they say, like, I feel hopeless, I feel like committing suicide. We grasp that and then we paraphrase. Committing suicide? We throw in this one words for them to keep talking about that. So if you're stepping in as a healer, most of the time, you don't talk. They do. Yeah. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If the person who is grieving or has a problem,
Sorry, I can't hear you.
the person who is grieving or has a problem, it's not a death or anything, but there's a problem, but they don't speak about it. You are there and you want to do something, but they have not spoken, they have not opened it to you. Do you approach that person, or do you open the subject, or let it be? Second part of it, which is close to that, is that most of us, or rather, I speak for myself, when it comes to certain sensitive things or hurts and grief, we want to be there, but we dare not enter that space of, closeness and sensitivity. We ourselves do not know how to approach. At the same time, we ourselves don't, it's something inside me that I don't want to, it's too
Talk
sensitive
about.
for me to talk about it or do anything about it. And I won't be able to help in the long run. So I would rather do some physical thing, like as you say, food. We do that, the physical things, just to say we are doing something and say a prayer. Now, that is, if the person we feel that really needs to be opened up, they are unable to open up, and yet we are only doing this superficial physical. How do we do anything more? That's the
Okay.
question.
For your first question, that's where the meaning of time and space comes in the picture. You ask something, you notice it, and you feel troubled by this person grieving, and you have asked. You have asked, and they don't want to open up. You respect that. Perhaps you are not the person they want to open up to. Give them time and space and go back to them. I've noticed that you've been down and you've been grieving. It's all right if you don't want to talk to me, but if I can help you in any way, do let me know. And then you leave. So therein, like I explained for your first question, and I'm glad you asked, because everybody needs to know this, is the meaning of time and space. And if you have the patience, go back to him the third day, the fourth day. You're a constant presence of someone who is concerned. And that space and time, one day, if he decides, I'm really down and out, and I'll know this person who's been persistently checking on me, I will talk to her. So that's your first question. We are giving meaning of time and space. Now your second question. When you say you do the physical things because there's something inside you that you don't want to explore, I'll give you an example. Most of my patients have
1, 2,
cancer.
so.
But when you go in, it's like there's this big white elephant, but they don't want to talk about it. They're going to die soon, but they don't want to talk about it. Now, I'm putting myself in your place now, and I'm thinking, I don't want to talk about this too. So I'm going to say a prayer, and I'm going to do the physical stuff. The physical stuff, it's all right if they need it. It's not all right if it's you who need to do it, because you can't explore the white elephant, so you want to do something else instead to heal yourself. Now, this is not about you. But yes, if they need food for that day, if they need transportation, and you don't want to talk about the white elephant, but you're willing to take the white elephant for a walk, do so. But that's what they must need. And often we go in to sugarcoat, to touch and go, because we want to feel better. We did something about it. But you're so right. There are a lot of issues. If I see a baby dying, I'll tell my colleague, I'm not ready to handle. Because I don't know if I can contain my emotions, and I won't step in. So you're so right when you say, I don't want to explore that. You have that right. Don't step in. But the physical part that you're doing is what they must need. Okay. And again, with all due respect, they are adults. And it's our perception. They don't know. They don't know what they want. We want to go in and rescue. They are grieving, they don't know what they want. What if they don't know? They are adults. And herein, we do not be Superman and Superwoman. We do not step into a zone where we are not invited. So it is in our nature. Our community is such. We are all selfless in that sense. We know someone has passed on. We already think, okay, they will need this, they will need that, they want this, they want that. How come they are not ordering drinks for the people who come to the house? They don't know. I have to step in and tell them, you better prepare drinks, huh? You better prepare lunch for those who come, huh? But they are adults. It is their family. It is their grief. What you can do is ask them, is there anything physical that you want me to do at this moment? Please tell me. I'm here to help you. But the moment we think they don't know, we are judging. And we are belittling another person's capabilities. I'm sorry, I'm just saying it out because I used to do that. I used to go and say, hey, come on, y'all didn't put these things there for the people to sign. How y'all know who came for the funeral? I did that myself. Because we must send thank you cards afterwards. But the thing is, it is not my zone to do that. It is theirs. And often in our community, we have that perception. They are too sad. They don't know what's going on. They won't be able to handle it. The most respectful thing to do is to ask. Thank you.
We have 3 questions from Kuala Terengganu. I'll address all 3 at a go. Is that okay? Yeah. The first question is from Claver. Does empathy means being emotional?
Can I answer that first? At my age, I might forget the 3 questions. Empathy means stepping into another person's world and seeing the world from their point of view. It's up to you. Do you want to be emotional? Do you want to be physically involved? It's up to you. But most of the time, empathy involves emotions. Most of the time, it involves emotions. I hope I've answered that question for him. Yes.
The second question, what if someone says they give up in life and they wish to die, as life is not worth living? How should we respond to that?
You be there. You be there for them. The ethics about suicidal people is that they should never be left alone. And that's in the medical field. If someone says they are feeling suicidal, then we call up the spouse or the family members and make sure somebody is with them always until they seek help. So that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to be there. You're not going to judge and say what you mean suicidal. You're going to be there, and if you can, as a friend or as whoever to this person, explore. Why do you feel hopeless? Do you want to tell me about that? Do you want to talk about it? If you can't, then you seek help for that person. But the key word here is being present for that person.
The next question, I have friends that say they have prayed, yet it feels like there is no one answering from above. I, on the other hand, have felt that before. So I want to share the beauty of realizing God's artwork. How do I share it best with them so they too may see what I have seen?
I advise you, I'm overwhelmed that you feel God's work. I feel it. I speak to God. And I'm overwhelmed that you feel it. But herein we are talking about unconditional help. People can get spiritual. They may not be religious. And we have to accept that. So we have a certain belief we are conditioned with, and when we speak to God, or when we say the rosary, or we read the Bible, we have a certain answer to it. We have that calm. And if that person doesn't have it, you're not going to start teaching him that. You're going to find out what is it that comes. What is it that helps that person? And that is being spiritual. It's amazing that you can feel God's presence in you. You get your answers. You feel good. And it's amazing. You use the word art, God's creation, art, which means you are inspired so much by His work. But I will quote what He said. And I'm just going to be a bit religious here. Love one another as I have loved you. He did not say, love another Christian as I have loved you. He did not say, love another believer as I have loved you. So you need to find out what helps this person and not impose what has helped you on him. Thank you. I think everyone is pretty much hungry already. I am. Okay, so I apologize again. If anything I had said today was an ouch factor, I truly did not intend it to be like that. And I thank you again so much for an overwhelming morning. Thank you.